One of the main things when you go to film school, when you listen to cinematographers that they speak about is a camera is never supposed to show its off. Great cinematography, people should not leave film experience and say, that was great cinematography. It should be, that was a beautiful story. For me, the cinematography of Poor Things was something that I could not avoid but notice. Mainly where the camera was placed, the camera movements, it wasn't a lot, but when it was used, you could tell it's being used. Now, word on the street is the director is well known for shooting films like this. For all you Bella fans, today we'll be going through the cinematography of Poor Things, because I've never seen a camera tell a story as much as it does in Poor Things. Their lens choices, they used a Zeiss. I think that is the biggest lens I've ever seen, because I think they used the zoom Zeiss lens, and then which helped them with just getting the grandiose of the film. And another fascinating thing is it's a movie that uses also CGI to expand some of the locations that they were in, which is, it's iconic. But the craziest thing is when there is no film without cinematography. We are just there to capture an image and help the director showcase his story and capture an artist's performance. That is in essence what a cinematographer's job is. However, we get to shape the light in which these performances are performed, and it helped with the action. They also used it. I remember at one point in the film when Mark Ruffalo's character is about to fight, and then we switch from a tripod sort of steady shot, and it goes into this, they call it the Oppenheimer lens, where it's a very wide lens, but it's more through a barrel. It feels like they're using a barrel lens, and then you're seeing them fight, and you're like, whoa, this is crazy. And even in the black and white, even in the beginning, just how much of the wide shots that they were using to achieve what they were trying to achieve, for me, it made it a very impactful movie and something that was worth watching. And I even thought they would win the Oscar, to be honest, but at the end of the day, we all knew who was going to win. If we're looking at the type of framing that they were doing for this film, man, like it's ridiculous. So right now you are at an aspect ratio of 1.66. This is on I'm wondering what type of lens. So it's a medium shot, but they don't mention what type of lens it is. But just looking at it, how she is framed, right? So you can tell this is one of those lenses. It reminds me of the Helios lenses, which are circular, and you can see how whereby the only thing in the middle is what's in focus. And this is something that they did here. But then also, because this is Bella, she is being you sort of call it backlit, or they're trying to make like a silhouette because the light is coming from the window and also from this angle over here, which introduces us to the character and just the type of world that we're going to go into of absurdity. You see, now we're in the front and she's being front lit, but we're looking, usually people say you should shoot from the shadow angle, but they're not. I think they are actually shooting from the shadow side, but because the light is hitting it from this direction, but also feels like the light is coming onto this. And that just goes to show you how intentional the cinematography in this film was. And they didn't follow a lot of cinematography rules that we are sort of given. She's center framed, and they also often tell you, don't center frame your subjects, because it doesn't give a cinematic look. It gives you like a flat look. But I think that's what they were going for. And then introduction of a character. So in this, Willem Dafoe plays God or father for Bella, because that idea of he created Bella because he put the child's brain into the adult. But in this, you have a low angle, which is signifying power and strength in this case of the introduction of the character. And when you just look at the decisions, now you're having center frame once again, but also leading lines to him. And in that form of decision making. And then once again, is a powerful figure. You see how they were establishing these shots. And then when we finally see him, because our idea is he's so powerful just from the angles, when we go into this, the revelation of his face, and you're like, what the hell am I looking at? You already know he's some form of, in your mind, you might think he's a sinister or he's a villain, but you don't know him yet, right? When they introduce the dark on a dog's body, like, all this is I'm assuming CGI, right? But then also the way that they just shot it, like how the light hits this and she's not allowed to go outside, and then you see how big of a space that they live in, and that's just crazy. And this is at the school, and in this what you want to see is he's speaking, but then it's about introducing the next character that we're about to meet, and then that's his character. We meet him because he's the main character in the film. And then in the close-ups, we know whose story this is. This is Bella's story, right? So once again, it's just those shots where it's like, all right, let's highlight her, and I love it, man. Like this is so they're on a long lens, so I'm assuming from far, which allows the actors to express themselves. Because imagine if the camera was right in their face, they wouldn't be able to do some of the things that Bella was doing, because she wanted to use her whole body for her actions. With shots like this, you're able to reveal that because, Emma Stone it's a woman, she's a woman. She's a grown woman with a child's brain, right? And you have to be able to capture that, and you need to be at these angles that highlight that, where the camera is at a low angle looking up, and in this case they say it's a long lens, and that allows you that distance away, right? So whereas if you had a wide lens close to her, you don't get that close up, but on a longer lens, the camera can even be in a ditch and points up, and then you allow her to act like that, and you're able to capture those moments. For me, this shot, man, is probably one of my favorite because of that close up of whereby now you're showing a separation in time. You're showing a separation in moments, because there's a moments before we're learning about what happened, how she became. And just this close-up for me is a very beautiful close-up. You see how the lighting is coming in from that angle, and we are following the conventional way of setting up a shot where you're shooting from the shadow side, and this has minimum contrast, but it tells everything, and you can capture the actor's emotions. The actor is going through this. This is somebody who's about to commit suicide. So it's like, how do you capture that and tell the story in a way that's very beautiful? And I like the way they use blue for the sky, and that she's wearing blue. Everything is so symbolic, man. Like the costumes, the makeup is so minimal, and that is beautiful. Once again, like with shots like this, so now we've moved to color, where she's discovered her sexuality, because this film is all about the girl taking back her sexuality, her body. And in these shots, one thing that I liked about them as well, like it's a wide shot, but I believe this is a long lens that they're able to capture this. The whole idea was for her to sell everything through her face. So such a face is something that kids make when they discover something new and they're super excited about it. And you're going through those moments, and with this type of framing, especially for a sex scene, I don't think it gets better than this, whereby it's an amateurish, when you're watching those type of videos, which is something that they were going for. One thing I really liked with Mark Ruffalo's character is just how they were showing him, how he shows up at first, and he's like this businessman, but we have a sense of danger with him, and then also the fact that they kept with the medium shots, but now his shots are not very clean. But when we move to Bella, her shots, when you look at that, they're quite colorful, they're quite everything, but you still get that exaggeration of the kid. So she's a child, like, and you see that growth in her as someone who's growing up. But it's a weird movie in the sense of, you're watching Emma Stone and you're like, this is a grown woman, but then it's a grown woman with a baby's brain. They really use the fisheye. They didn't even play with it, and it just highlights those moments, that needed to be highlighted. And then once again, like, that childlike behaviors, how do you capture it? This is something that they were able to do thanks to production design, thanks to the acting, thanks to everything. But you can tell the camera was capturing those moments in a very elegant way, in which if different methods were used, you wouldn't be able to capture these moments like this. And that for me is where I see, and I'm like, oh, the camera really was performing in this film. And one of the things that they really did was the camera shifted, not only in terms of we went from black and white from where she began and into different spaces or cities that they went to. It's how the cinematic language changes, and the you want to call it the production design changes, because I believe they had 5 stages that they used, and in each of the stages it told different aspects of the story, and the camera had to follow that, and we see now in this, the type of shooting that they're doing, the type of composition that they're doing, now you have more clean shots. Because also with each stage, it was more of how her brain was developing. In this instance, it feels to me, it's more of you're shooting like at a 40, but in a distance, creating that medium shot. Whereas they were in the beginning, they were doing those close-ups, but with along a lens from further away to allow the acting to just happen by itself. One of the things that she was able to do, because she didn't develop as quick as Bella, I think these actors were to come out and speak truthfully, this is probably some of their most challenging work. But that spherical, blurry thing that they have, that the helios create, and I don't know which, again, they say it's the Zeiss Ultra Prime. I don't believe that it creates this type of bokeh behind her. But then once again, this type of lenses that just focus on what's in the middle. It's quite special, and just the production design, the color palette, man, like it's amazing. Some of the shot composition in this film, like look at this. We spoke about it in the video about the Oscars, but like it's, for me, these are perfect shots. Like the lighting is good, and it allows you even for CGI, because then all this background is part of the CGI. I went to Paris, like we started seeing some of the craziest things we have ever seen on film, and like it was ridiculous. Some of the shots, like what is this angle? Like what are we doing? They tell you not to put a camera next to a wall, never put your subject next to a wall, but then for what is about to happen, and we're in that world, we're in Bella's world, so as the audience, we're observant, but we're observing her inner world, and I think the camera really told the story there. I don't want to lie, when I watched this shot, I was like, what the hell are we doing? I think just as an actor, Mark Ruffalo really outdid himself in this film, the way that you see his spiral, his arc, and how he goes from this man who's sinister to losing his shit over a child. And I think it's a reflection of just reality of how, like, as a man, when you don't get what you want, how you behave in this childlike behavior, whereas Bella is the one with the child's brain, how this grown man has now switched into trying to connect with her. And then for me, this is one of the most beautiful shots in this film, just that natural looking, like naturalistic looking look that Bella has as she's grown and she's starting to take control of her power in the body and everything like that. I just felt like, for me, the use of black, the use of the color palette in this shot is beautiful. When she went back to her husband, like I wasn't quite sure of where the story was going, just because I felt like we were just going in a different angle. But just the way that the camera now at this point, she has regained her power, and a lot of shots are low angle, a lot of things that sphere of power and just strengthening her. Once again, I feel like the story really made use of the film, and then I think they put a god brain in his body, which was wild. But you see those shots now where she has power, now she's become God, and then we're all of a sudden low angle looking up at a clean frame and stuff like that. And then when God dies, that change in power. But you can tell in each shot the intention of the DOP and the camera team and the director, like they were very intentional in how they used the camera. They didn't follow any rules. Movies like Poor Things serves as a reminder of why we got into this. Most of us get into film because we're very creative and we have stories that we want to tell in our ways. But often we lose this way because we try to learn how is it done, and in learning how it's done, we sort of lose our creativity. I think you don't want to go extreme with it because it can be disorienting for the audience. But one thing that is there and you may have to consider is, how does the camera help you tell your stories? Is it there just to capture information, or is it there as a cinematic tool? In my opinion, the camera has a role to play. Cinematography does. I think so. A lot of us get caught up in terms of what equipment and technology that we have to use. But I think that more than that, the camera has a role to play in telling stories, which lenses we have access to. Not all of us have access to some of the greatest equipments out there, but I encourage you to watch this movie for what it is, for its value. I can understand the criticism that it gets. I can understand a lot of people, it might not be their cup of tea in terms of the satire and what these guys were going for. But if you're someone who's just into film and enjoys it and sees it as a craft, I think this is a movie that a lot of us can learn something from. And I definitely will be carrying some of the things far away from this movie into some of my work. I don't really like using wide lenses like that, but this film showed me a way in which wide lenses can be used and how minimal movement in a film helps to narrate the story as well. Production design is very important, and congratulations to them for winning the Oscar for that. But I just wanted to make this video and highlight some of the things that I felt were quite amazing